All right, welcome to Concert Journal number 2. This is for Buzzard Fest, August 4th, 2023 in North Ridgeville, Ohio. So this was our first festival. Officially, it was called, the overall event was called Victory Fest. Victory Live, sorry. And it was a 2-day event. So the first day was rock, the second day was country. So we went to the rock day. And the bands that were there, let's see, well, I guess we'll start at the top. We had Incubus, Bush, Live, Filter, the Kaleidoscope Kid, Welshly Arms, and Winona Fighter. So it was basically a full day, but we had perfect weather, good temperatures, clear skies, so it was perfect. So this is our journal of our events that day. All right, so starting with the venue. So the venue was a public park in North Ridgeville, Ohio. So North Ridgeville is about 20 miles west-southwest of Cleveland, and they had turned this into the location for this festival. So it was basically big parking lots and ball fields and some just generic fields, and that's where it was. So we got there before the gates opened. And how busy was it when we got there?
There was maybe 20 other people there.
Yeah. We weren't there much before the gates opened. I can't remember the exact time, but let's say it was 2, I don't know, or 3. But maybe we got there half an hour before the gates opened, and there was nothing going on. So, I mean, it was great for parking. We parked basically right outside the main gate. It was super short walk.
2-minute walk or something from leaving the doors or something.
Yeah. So that was, whatever. I guess I expected a little bit more with that many bands. At least some pretty big bands for it.
Yeah, because you see all the videos of Vakin where they open the doors and everyone's just running out there, and then with us it's we walk in, there's only people there.
Yeah, here come all 10 of us, look out. So there wasn't much there. And so then, so the gates opened, we kind of waited in line, and then they were so particular about when we were allowed to go in. It's dude, there's 10 of us. I mean, just let us in. A little more than 10. We'll round up. We'll call it 30. But it wasn't much. And they did let us in. They had security there. You couldn't bring a lot of I guess you can't bring in a lot of stuff. So they did a quick pat down. And then and they let us in. The one odd thing that I thought, I guess, was that the security guards, or whatever, personnel, were all 3%ers. So the right-wing militia group, they were the ones providing security. And the only reason you knew that because they had all of their vests and their patches on. And, I mean, it was the full show with that. I just thought that was an odd choice. To provide security for it, so they're the ones taking tickets or checking tickets and all that stuff. They were nice, but again, it just felt odd to have someone, they weren't wearing festival gear. They were wearing their own personal gear going in. So, whatever, it was what it was. We went in and did a little exploring because, again, now we're on the other side of the gate, all 30 of us, 2 stages. 1 merch stand, a bunch of vendors, food, and other things. So I don't know. So we started walking around. What was the first thing that we did? So we walked around, and we were walking by a particular booth, which was actually the WMMS radio booth where they were live broadcasting.
So we saw them interviewing Filter, and then when they finished up, and we're like, that's awesome. Let's go wait for the first band to sing. And then we walked by, and I think we were getting a picture with one of the inflatable buzzards they had, and they're like, hey, you want to meet the band? And we're like, yeah.
So she came out and asked, and we're like, yeah. And so she's like, why don't you come around? And they kind of corralled a couple of us. Again, there's nobody there. Maybe we've blossomed to 50 people in the whole place. So we stood in the back in front of the little line, and then they ushered us in kind of behind the tent. And we got a chance to slight pleasantries or quick pleasantries and a little chit-chat before we got our picture taken with it. And that was awesome.
And the guitarist, I think Johnny is his name, he liked my ministry shirt I was wearing, which pretty much the best.
Yeah, that's right. So to be fair, so at this event of all the bands, Filter was a bucket list band. I love the band, and it's the only reason really why I wanted to come to this. And then not only did that, within the first 20 minutes of being in the door, we watched them do an interview live. Then we got to meet the band, got our picture with the band. We got to talk to them a little bit. I told them that there was a bucket list. They were pretty thrilled about that. Anyway, very nice. It was short and sweet, but definitely memorable. We're not going to forget that one. So that was an awesome start. Just goes to show you want to get there early in case something like that should play itself out, because after that they were, off to doing whatever bands do, waiting for their show. That was awesome.
Yeah.
So they finished up. We kind of wandered around, and then eventually the first band started playing, which was Winona Fighter. So that was, first of all, best name. I mean, I know nothing about it. If you put a band named Winona Fighter on the band list, I'm gonna have to go see them and see what the heck they were all about. So who is Winona Fighter?
They're a Nashville-based punk band. They were pretty fun live. I think it was at one point the bassist, he took his bass off and he balanced the headstock on his finger, and then in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
And also a guy in the crowd who was front row, he clearly saw them a week before or something, because I think he had a towel or something that he got from the last
some sort
show.
of merch that had their name on it, and so they called him out. They were pretty excited to see a fan there. So we'd never heard of them, knew nothing about them, but they were enjoyable with that. So as they are, short set list, and then we moved over to the other stage following that one. Again, it was nice because there's not a lot of people here, so you didn't have to set up at a stage. You could literally just walk between them as the bands played. So then we moved to the second stage, and that was where the Kaleidoscope Kid was. So what was his set like?
He's a alternative hip hop artist from I think it was Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah, he just played to a track. He was a solo artist. He played to a track. He kind of, he did a guitar, or sometimes he just sang with the backing track on it. I mean, he's talented. I think the one thing that was missing was the band. I think looking at his social medias, he does have band people. I don't know if it's just the studio band or maybe he performs within certain locations. So maybe this is such a small enough thing just to save money. He just ships himself with this thing. But I mean, he was fine. We didn't know anything about him, but I think it would have been a little bit more engaging if he had a kind of a full band with it. But that was fitting for a festival, I guess.
Because in the line when we were waiting, we were talking to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, we're excited to see the Kaleidoscope."
Oh yeah,
Kid.
that's right. That couple that was behind us in line. Yeah. So people were there to see him, even with the limited attendance at that point of the show. People were interested. So anyway, so that was good. So the next one we have was Welshly Arms. So this is a rock band out of Cleveland, and what was anything notable about their performance?
We weren't up close to them because we were waiting front row because Filter was going to play next at the stage, but from a distance we heard them. They were fine, but the weird thing they did was they did a cover of Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine, and I'm like, you're doing alternative rock and you choose a rap metal song.
Yeah, I mean, it got the crowd going. So right at that point, because again, Filter was the main attraction for us. We decided to not leave the second stage or wherever he was going to perform, and so we watched this band from afar, or listened to them from afar with it, because at that point we're front row, at the fence, and we didn't want to give that one up. But they're a Cleveland band, Welshly Arms, so it was kind of nice to see a couple, Cleveland bands represented there. And so again, they had a pretty decent set again. We knew nothing about them, but the music seemed to fit. They had a pretty good crowd with their performance as well, because at this point I think more and more people were coming in.
Yeah, well, because for the first two bands, it was you were basically front row for the whole thing, because there's maybe 30 people for each band, so you could just very easily be I'm gonna be front row now.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, that was Welshly Arms. Enjoyed them, but again, at that point, the anticipation was building for Filter. So, yeah, we kind of we listened, but we were more excited waiting for the Filter set. Okay, so then Filter came out, or Filter was next on it, right? So at that point, we were front row. The crowd had filled in behind us, so thankfully we did kind of wait, because once Welshly Arms was done, everybody poured over in addition to new people coming in, and they launched into their set, which was great. I think it was all hits. They introduced a couple songs, at least Obliteration from the newest album. Yeah. Maybe there's a second one now. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was.
Remember.
Yeah, I think there's one more, but I do wish. Well, now after listening to it a few times, which I think it's amazing, I wish they did Threshing Floor. That's one of my favorite songs.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah, it's a great album. So it was before it was released. I think this was just a couple weeks before it was released. So he was saying, pick it up when it comes out. So we just got a brief taste. And again, it's a relatively short set. 45 minutes or something would be nice. It was a little bit longer, but I heard the songs I wanted to hear. Take a picture. Hey man, nice shot, all that. So that was great. Before they performed, remember there was the woman on the stage, and she kept pointing at me, and she was like, "You," and I'm like, "Hey, yeah, me," and she was like, "Hey, don't I know you? Are you?" And I can't remember what the connection was now. She thought that I was the dad of someone that the band works with, or something with that they were. I don't remember the deal. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, so it was a mistaken identity. But anyway, she was very nice. We talked, but I think that was our connection because after Filter finished playing, what did we get?
Yeah, so after we missed all the picks. They never threw them to us. We missed all the set list, but there's like one left.
We missed the picks and like the drums kit. But we did get the
set list.
Yes.
Because she gave it to us, and we think it's because we talked to her earlier.
Yeah.
We got the guitar set list.
Yeah, so she had pulled them up off the floor, and then it was one of those things, hey, remember us? And then I was pointing at him because it always helps. A younger person's more likely to get it than someone my age. But anyway, so she did, and she came over and made sure that we got a set list. So an absolute high for us on the Filter band that we saw them get interviewed. We met them. We got a picture with them. We ended up being front row with them, and we ended up getting the set list. So, we were flying high after that. That was great. I mean, nothing could happen after that. That would ruin the day.
But since we were front row, when they do their picture at the end of the show, we were in it.
Yes, we're in the Instagram photo. So made sure afterwards to check their socials and get the photo. So we'll take that, and it'll be nice. We can print that out as a little memento of us being front row, and we'll, hey, we'll put it up there with that event. So. That was Filter. So we were on an absolute high at that point. So we went and had to get something to eat or drink after that. Because at this point we've been standing in the sun for a while. So after that, then Live performed. So Throwing Copper was a huge album from the '90s, early '90s which was great. So I was actually looking forward to seeing Live. I don't know how familiar you were with them.
I did not know who they were.
Okay, great. So. We kind of just watched them from afar. Decent set. I mean, to be honest, I was still kind of mentally getting over seeing the Filter set. But Live was great. And then when Live was done, and then it went on into Bush, another '90s thing. So Gavin Rosdale, lead singer, he put on a great show. I mean. That's the thing, you think about these guys, that they've been doing this stuff for 20, 30 years, and it's still a great show. So we played a lot of hits, some other stuff beyond the stuff from the 90s, which I wasn't as familiar with, but it's still an entertaining set. One back thing to back up to about Filter was the lead singer's, Richard Patrick, his mom was in the audience because he's from Cleveland, and he grew up not too far from from where we were at that moment, and so some shout outs to his mom in the audience, which was great. And then in the song Take a Picture, Hey Dad, What Do You Think of Me Now, he said, hey Mom, he added her in instead of his dad. So that was a nice little local call out, and it had a local boy in Cleveland performing there, which that part was great. So the last band was
Incubus.
Incubus, and it is safe to say
we do not like Incubus.
spoiler alert. So a huge percentage of the people there for Incubus. I mean, as the day progressed, and we did our counting of band shirts, Incubus had more and more of a presence that we were there. A lot of people were there for Incubus.
Yeah, and then we went over. It's like the stage was filled. There was so many people for Filter, or not Filter, Incubus.
Incubus. So, while we tried to get somewhat close, we were a football field back on that one, and you couldn't get any closer unless you fought your way up. So I was only familiar with them. I don't own any of their albums. Familiar with just some of the radio play. And it's not songs that, hey, it's on, listen to it, it's great. I kind of thought that that'd be a good introduction into them. And man, it did not hit with either. It was one of the things like we were kind of like speechless. Weren't really interacting, and then it was kind of like, so what are you thinking, right? Like,
yeah, because I was like sitting down, I'm like, this is so boring. Am I the only one who thinks this is boring? Like, I'm like falling asleep watching this.
Yeah, so prog rock, nothing, I mean, get it. I mean, people were into it. I mean, it was a huge show. It just missed with us.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, like, you think like, oh, I'm not into prog rock, but I'm someone who's listened to a lot of Rush. And so for some reason, I'm very selective on my prog bands. And so we did our best. We probably made it through 45 minutes of the set.
Yeah.
And then we actually left at that point. We were like, well, we might as well beat the rest of the whatever crowd out. So that was a first for us. We have never done that before or since, really. That's the only band or only country we've ever done that.
Some other weird stuff was the drummer was like, he wasn't like facing forwards to the crowds. He was like facing this way.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like looking, and I'm like, in the camera angles, I'm like, you can't see the rest of the band. You're literally just seeing like his side and stuff. But then I'm looking, I'm like, I think he is. I think he's literally facing this way. I don't think he's facing the crowd. And they also did a cover of Come Together by the Beatles.
Yeah. Yeah, which, I don't know, it resonated with the crowd. I mean, the ages for this whole festival actually were all over the board. I mean, it was from very young, I mean, not like toddlers, but like young kids up through very old people, like myself, or people older than me. But, I mean, I guess it was nice to see that. I mean, it was kind of a music festival for everybody. It did have a good mix of stuff. So that part was great. I mean, outside of kind of, for us, kind of ending on a lower note, overall, that part was a pretty good show. The food too was decent, and then the vendors, well, not that we were really buying stuff, but they had, food suitable things for the event.
We got donuts.
We did get donuts. Concert donut. Okay, now that we've seen all of the bands in the concert, let's go through and kind of rank them. So the first band was Winona Fighter, and how would you rank them?
I'd give them a yellow. They were pretty fun live, but like I wouldn't go out of my way to see them.
Yeah, I think they're a great festival band.
Yeah.
I think they had a good energy, and they were fun. I'd give them a yellow as well. After them, who did we see?
Was it the Kaleidoscope Kid?
All right, Kaleidoscope Kid. So how would you rank that one?
Again, yellow. They were fun, but I wouldn't go out of my way to see them.
Yeah, good festival band. I wish next time we would see him that he would have a full band rather than just playing to a track. I think that would bring a little bit more energy to it. It's hard for one person to have all the energy for the whole thing. But so Kaleidoscope Skip would be a yellow. And then from a distance, we saw Welshly Arms, a local band.
Again, yellow. Same reason. They were fun.
Yeah.
Or at least they sounded fun.
Yeah.
And again, wouldn't go out of my way to see them.
I'd say yellow. I maybe would do a green. I mean, they're a local band, so to try to support the local music scene. Like, I guess if there was a nearby venue that we could go, and so maybe I'd go out of my way or at least add it to a rotation. But yeah, I think it's just a solid yellow on them. All right, after them,
Filter,
green.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it was on my bucket list. It's still on my bucket list just because I want to see them headline, so we have a little more of a set list from them and all that. And actually, now that we know the new album better, having listened to it now, I'm anxious to see some of those songs perform live. So I think that would be fun as well. After Filter,
live.
Okay, how about live?
Yellow, they were fine. I didn't really care for them.
Yeah, I would say that it is a bit odd that in the 90s they were huge, and I'd be a solid green because, I mean, they were, love their album, at least the album out during the early 90s. And then, yeah, maybe the nostalgia's worn off a bit, so I'd give them a yellow as well. A little surprised by that myself. Bush.
Green, they were fun. I like them. I'd see them again.
I think so too. So the nostalgia held up for Bush, unlike for live, and there was a lot of energy, and that was great. So I'd give them a green as well. And then last,
Incubus.
All right, Incubus and
red. I did not like them.
Yeah, red. I mean, if I was at another festival they're at now, I just know that I'm gonna skip that.
Yeah.
That performance and.
Or just go by, be like, see a song and be like, "Yep, all right, let's go."
That's right. That's right. I checked the box. I saw them at that event. So there you go. So that was the bands. So when that's all done, so the merch that we got. What did we end up choosing from the poor selection?
Yeah. So from the one merch stand that had like the festival merch, we both just got the same festival shirt because those were the only good ones.
Yeah.
And then.
But they had the bands listed on the back.
Oh yeah.
So it's the only thing that we could really buy that was reflective of that unique festival. So something that had all the band names on it. Like the individual bands didn't have a shirt for this event, which is understandable because it wasn't very big. But anyway, so we got that from Buzzard Fest.
And then there was like a booth that was just WMMS where they sold like shirts, like I guess representing WMMS. And I got a white Cruising with the Buzzard shirt, and you got one too, right?
Yeah, I got a black shirt that, again, just a WMMS. Again, nostalgia for the old imagery from the 70s and 80s that the Buzzard had. So anyway, yeah. So that was our shirt purchases from that. Okay, so speaking of shirts, let's talk about. We started the event with counting the first 100 shirts that we saw people wearing, and counted up what the most viewed or most, I guess, popular ones that we saw. So starting with number 5.
It's a tie between Kiss, Metallica, and Pink Floyd, all with 5.
Okay. Yeah, so as we've discovered, Pink Floyd is a good default shirt for people, and Metallica basically is too. Kiss making an appearance was something that we haven't seen much of. I don't think number of other concerts we've been to.
Seen a lot of Kiss shirts.
Okay, and then after that, number 4.
Well, that was all like.
I guess those were number 4 and 5. Okay, so number 3.
So number 3 is Nirvana with 6, another like default shirt.
Yeah, default shirt. Number 2.
Filter with 7.
Nice, which is actually slightly surprising because there wasn't a lot of merch there, and so very well represented considering they were early in the show, and that was about the time that the venue started to fill up. Was for Filter. So Filter came in at number 2, and then first place.
Our favorite band, Incubus, with 11.
Yeah, which is actually no surprise. So we made this count pretty early on at the festival and the time. And throughout the day, more and more Incubus fans were showing up. They were clearly the favorite there. So if we had made this same review, at the end of the show.
Yeah, if we started with like Filter live, it would probably Incubus would have had probably like 30 or something.
Yeah, it would have had a lot. So anyway, so there is the top 5 shirts that represented Buzzard Fest.
And then some notable ones were Michael Stanley Band.
Right, so a local artist who sadly passed away a couple years ago. So MSB, Michael Stanley Band. That was great to see him represented by the folks of Cleveland.
Another Ohio-based band, the Black Keys.
Black Keys out of Akron. Okay, what else did we see?
The Wiggles.
The Wiggles. So this kind of goes to like what was the age demographic of this? Again, there's a lot of very young kids up to senior citizens, if you will, and you're bound to have a lot of dads in there that have probably been to a Wiggles concert. So that dad sported his Wiggles concert T-shirt. So that was awesome. Okay, so what were some of our firsts from this event?
The first time we did this, I guess it's a venue, it's more just a local park that was turned to a festival, but first time was venue.
Yep, first time here.
And then our first festival.
First festival,
Well, technically my first festival because you went to Ozfest. But
yes, I've been to them, but you know, when 20, 30 years have been removed between the last one, we'll kind of reset that and say this was kind of a first as well. Okay, so first venue, for this venue, the first festival, do we have any others?
First time we saw all these bands.
That's true. Every band here was a first for us. That was great.
And this is the first time we met Filter.
Right. So we met. Well, it's not the second time we've met a band. There's a previous concert which hasn't been covered in a journal, but yeah, actually, so Cultist Black. That may be something to talk about another day. But anyway, so this is the first time meeting the full band because technically that was just the lead singer and
like a guitarist or something. Maybe.
Yeah, the hype man, the guy that didn't have, he just had a microphone and was screaming the whole time. But yeah, so first time meeting a full band, and it was Filter, which was perfect.
And the first time we left early.
Yeah, so we're completionists. If we're starting, we're finishing.
Except this time.
Except for this time. We could not bring ourselves to wrap it up. So anyway, so that there's another first. Okay, so our final reviews of this. So let's talk about the venue. So as we mentioned, it was a city park that was repurposed for this. And what were your thoughts on this venue?
I think green. I love festival venues, which is like a big open field with like booths and stuff. I think they're always fun.
Yeah.
Or I guess look always fun.
That's right. It's my first. All of them have been the best. No, but I agree. It was a good layout. The parking situation was very suitable for it. So I'm sure they could have picked a lot worse location. It wasn't too far off of a major highway, so it was easy to get to. Because we had to come from the east side of Cleveland. This was way out on the west side. Yeah, I give the venue a green.
Yeah. Plus, then like since they would let you like go out and come back in if you didn't have any food, you could just go out there and get something. Because I think there was like a Burger King or something like 5 minutes away from it.
That's true. Yeah. So I guess you could have done that if you knew that there was going to be a low part in the day. You could have easily gotten some, but just by walking, really.
Yeah.
The merch. How would we rank the merch?
Red. All the festival stuff. We had the only good shirt. Everything else was bad. The WMMS shirt stuff was pretty cool, but just focusing on like the festival stuff, that was pretty trash.
Yeah. Yeah, I sadly give it a red, even though I'm happy with the shirt that we had. It would have been nice to see a little bit more individual stuff from the bands and some variety, but you know, I get it. It's a tough thing for a small festival probably to put that together. And then the last thing is the overall concert. How would you rate the Buzzard Fest?
Green is fun.
Yeah, it's a solid green. The only disappointing thing was, again, the kind of the branding, because it was like Victory Live.
Yeah.
And then that was actually the Buzzard Fest as well as the country event, which was day 2. So like you would see, like the poster they had was kind of 2 things, and so they had 2 different names, and I almost feel like they should just split them off and do 2 completely different like branding. Don't even try to tie the 2 of them together, because it did get a bit confusing trying to do a search for parking or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, the concert was a green. From what we've learned, this was kind of a relaunch. They used to do the Buzzard Fest. It stopped for a number of years. It's back. Hopefully it stays back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we are wrapping up 2023 about the time they start making announcements for the next year. So hopefully the Buzzard Fest makes a return.
Yeah.
And we're able to go. All right. So that concludes the end of our second concert journal. And thanks for watching.
Just gotta sit yourself.